We are live. I love this because they give you this little sign that says you are live.
And I think that there was when I came in, there was a little Restream has done some interesting things. I see.
They keep doing interesting things.
Yeah,
The
that's
only
how
problem
mine
is,
is.
and their interesting things are super cool. I'm definitely a fan of the interesting things. The issue, though, is that they don't tell me what they are until after they do them. And so I find out that what I normally do doesn't work. And then I have to figure out how to use the new stuff, which is always a challenge. It's always good to challenge the brain. No, no, that's just not true. Okay, well let's get started. Well, for everyone that's joining us, I am Jevon Thomas, retirement plan advisor, and my friend and colleague is Crystal Mitchell. She's a business coach and consultant. This is On the Patio, and our topic today is kind of interesting. It's called Participation is Not Progress. So we're going to get into exactly what that means because that's a little bit on the edgy side. Because most employers, at least most of the employers I've dealt with, they have a concern about providing the plan and nobody participating. And you can measure some of the effectiveness of your plan by one particular metric, which happens to be participation. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, before we get started, as I said, I'm Jevon Thomas. I'd like to introduce you to my friend and colleague, Crystal Mitchell. I'm supposed to have your bio, Crystal, but I left it in the drawer. So if you could just hold on for a minute, I'll get it.
All righty. You do know by now you could actually wing it, right?
I probably could, but with the way that sometimes I wing things, I'd probably be saying things and you'd say stuff like, I don't drive those kind of cars. Okay, everyone. Crystal Mitchell is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars. She's the co-host of The Business Zone. That's another weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College and a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, how you doing?
Hello, how are you guys today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I was talking to the TV land,
Oh,
the viewing land out there.
I see. Okay. Okay. So pretty cool topic now because, we started this broadcast hoping to talk with people that have questions about how to save for retirement. 401ks are a really big part of that. It's what I specialize in. But along with the theme that we're using over the last few weeks of retirement plans aren't really built for participants. They're kind of built for the efficiency of the record keeper and the plan sponsor, the owner of the organization. Along that path is the level of participation, right? As I mentioned before, one of the metrics that you can judge with regard to the effectiveness of your plan is how many people are in, right? And if you're the owner of an organization or you're the business leader, do you really want to put money into a plan that people aren't participating in? It kind of feels like a waste of money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
here's the issue, though. Participation feels like success. Employers feel like they're doing something great. But as good as that is not complete. It's not the whole deal, right? So just for our clip folks, we have to say that point. Participation is a starting point. It's not the finish line. So
Okay.
you got to think about, okay, what's happening when people get into the plan? Well, number one, they get in and often there's a match for them to get in, or in some situations, you just get automatically enrolled and you get automatically enrolled into some type of qualified default investment alternative. Often that can be as a money market, or it could be a balanced fund, or it could be, a fund that has stocks and bonds in it, or it
Mm-hmm.
could be a fund that has a particular target date. So a fund that's going to be appropriate for someone who is your particular age, is going to retire at a particular time, or going to reach 65 at a particular time. Those may or may not be appropriate for you. So what happens though when we have that automatic enrollment, we get those participation numbers up there. If we happen to have a match, folks may go and get the match, or they may just get in the plan and
Mm.
find out they don't take a look at that until they retire. And so often they're not in the mix that's appropriate for them. Often they're not contributing enough. And that's one of the big points that you and I have talked about before. Like, how do you know you're on the right track? How do you know how much to put in? How do you know that you can retire? One of the big issues there is, are you putting enough in? And typically you're not.
Mm.
And it's not the fault of the plan sponsors or the business leaders. I don't want to give that impression, because it's
Right.
a very good idea to have automatic enrollment, because some people, they just won't get in, right? Like we talked about last year last week. um, some people feel like if you have an automatic enrollment, you're taking money out of their paycheck and they're not receiving value for that, right? They're like, look, I got to buy my kids a bicycle. I've got some other bills to pay, and you're automatically going to take money out of the plan, out of my um, paycheck. It's tough, and most of us, we feel like we need to make that decision, but of course, our experience suggests that people don't make that decision, and then they wonder why it is they can't retire.
Mm. Yeah.
And often it's not because they're in the wrong fund, often because they don't put any money in there. So when you get right down to it, we have to take a look at, um, once we get you enrolled, this is another clip moment. Once you're
Right.
enrolled, what's the next step? We get you enrolled, we get you into a target date fund, let's say. I'm not a huge fan of target date funds, but let's say we get you into the target date funds. You're in a fund that's age appropriate, not necessarily you appropriate,
Right.
but age appropriate. Then what do we do? Well, I would say a good thing to add to that is re-enrolling. That is, you need to make that decision on a regular basis that you're going to get in the plan. You're going to be in the plan. I would say you could do that in a couple of ways if you're a plan sponsor. Number one, you could just send out a note saying, "Okay, enrollment time is coming up. Are you enrolled? Have you checked the amount that you're contributing? Are you in the right fund? Right? And do you want to talk to someone?" Some kind of note you could send to people saying that. The issue that we run into is that people think they're being taken care of. And so if someone
Mm.
would start,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking about it. I forgot. Yes, you have a voice as well. So
Well, well, exactly, because that's what we've been talking about all along. Like, because it isn't exactly employee driven, that's not where it starts. That the employee, since the engagement from them, or even understanding what it is and how it benefits them in the future, is, I don't think that's the real emphasis. Is really more because, legally it has to be that way because of the employer. But I think if we're talking retirement opportunity and benefits for employees, they definitely need to know how it benefits them.
they do. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that the benefit is not employee driven. Because if it was employee driven, right, if the employees came to the uh, business leader, owner, organization leader and said, "Hey, there's 100 of us employees here. 95 of them want a retirement plan. What can you do? That's employee driven, right? So those employees are saying, hey, I want to put money away. I want some help doing that. Can you help me do that? That's not what we see,
Mm-hmm.
right? What we see is employers saying, I think these folks are great. I want to make sure that they stay with the company, that they grow with the company. So I want to make sure that they're on track to reach their retirement goal as best we can. I want to help them out do that. So I'm going to institute a retirement plan, right? We're going to institute some type of 401k and just to give them a hand because we know it's tough to remember to save. So not only are we going to let them sign up for taking money out of the paycheck, but maybe even I'll throw in a match just to help it go a little bit further.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Most employees need to be saving about 10, 15%. If we
Mm-hmm.
can catch you in your 20s, right? If we
Mm-hmm.
don't get a hold of you till your 40s or 50s, you need to be dramatically more aggressive than 10%.
Yeah. Right.
Often, when I do reviews of retirement plans, we take a look at how many people are on track to meet what we would consider to be their retirement goal, right? And it's just math. You can go to any record keeper out there, any mutual fund company, and drop in the numbers. This is how much I have. This is how old I am. This is when I'm going to retire. How much do you think I'm going to need? They'll come up with a number. You can say, the employee rather can say, I need to have X amount of dollars so that I can have a lifetime that produces X amount of dollars over the next 30 years. That's just math, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Exactly. But again, I think in this day and age, especially since a lot of the conversation from a political standpoint is retirement and Medicare and Social Security. Um, uh, it had to be more intentional, right, in making sure that the employees understand um, the realities of what this is, right? So, and what the future may be for them when they get to that retirement place.
I'm so glad you said that because that's kind of the segue where we're going, which is enrollment is great. Automatic enrollment is great because it gets people enrolled in the plan. Step number two, enrollment that reminds people that they're enrolled in the plan. But step number three, and I don't think it's less important at all, is education. You have to educate people. You have to tell them this is the plan, it is for retirement. This is how we're going to help you get to the number that you need to get to with regard to retirement. This is how we're going to
Mm-hmm.
help you choose the investments that are appropriate for you, be that a target date fund or a fund or a group of funds that are going to work for you, whatever that is. And then, of course, like we said last year, okay, you don't want to make any decisions. You want to do nothing. At least I, as the employer, am going to put out, okay, if you do nothing, it's not going to be as good for you, but you are going to have something in retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Say that over and over again, right? Maybe semi-annual meetings. I definitely get that most people don't. Most people don't start a company so that they can help people retire. That's usually not the way that goes. But um, you do want to keep your employees happy. You do want to create that pipeline where someone can come in, work, have a good retirement, leave, and have somebody else come in as well.
Yeah. And I think on that same note as well, um, the employees are an asset, and I think bringing the focus to that in these, especially in today's world, because it seems like the employees are like second thought, but companies don't work without employees. So sorry for the wealthy. They can't become wealthier if they don't have and take care of their employees and treat them as an asset versus a liability.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think that's one of the reasons why so many companies do offer retirement plans. The employees are an asset. They want them to be there. They want to have that package that can attract folks. So if you are the employer and you can say to that new recruit, hey, not only do we have a company retirement plan, but we have an advisor who wants to talk to you at least twice a year,
Mm-hmm.
at least once a year, and whenever you want to do it, right? That's why that's one of the things that sets us apart from some of our other competition, who they may have a retirement plan, but they don't have automatic enroll. Maybe they don't have a match, and maybe they don't really want that advisor to talk to you. They want to leave it up to you when you talk to them, right? But that company that says, no, we're going to set aside some time. We're going to arrange some time, be that Zoom for half a day or something like that, or 2 or 3 days out of the year or whatever. But just to show that we care about our employees, we're going to make sure that we have a plan that you know about, right? That
Right.
you're educated on, you understand how it works. And if you don't take that, if you decide, oh, I'd rather go to Starbucks 4 times a week. Starbucks. They're not paying me. I shouldn't say that. I'd rather get coffee 4 times a week. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get letters. I'd rather get coffee 4 times a week instead of contribute to my retirement plan. Well, that's on you, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think the pivotal point for employers here is, yes, get the retirement plan. One, two, do the automatic enrollment, right? Don't call it forcing, call it helping people make the decisions they need to make so they can retire with dignity. And
Mm-hmm.
number three, educate your participants so they know this is not me taking money out of your paycheck. This is me helping you get to retirement, right? I think it's so often, and you just mentioned it, when employers try to do things, or any large organization tries to do things, be it the government, be it an employer, be it a big club, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
unless they explain it extremely well in a way that it actually benefits the employee or the
Yeah.
person receiving the benefit, it just doesn't go over well.
Mm.
Uh, so
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think, and it used to be that way. Like, when I was working, which has been a while, in companies, it was a little bit more intentionally focused on the employees, or at least the employees felt that they were, valuable in the meetings and when they would have talk about, retirement or retirement benefit and programs and benefits, it was to attract in the talent, right? But I don't know if we're still. I know for a fact that it's not the case.
it's true, and as a person that's been around for, I'm going to say, a little bit longer than you. um, the economy is not in a bubble. Things are different, right?
Uh huh.
When I first got out of school, the economy was in the state where nobody could get a job. There was just no jobs, right?
Yeah.
It's not the employer's fault. That's just the way the economy
Yeah.
goes.
It
It
was where the
does,
economy was at that
yeah,
time.
it goes up and down, right? And then a few years after that, um, employers were paying for people to go to college, and they were paying for tuition, and they were paying for daycare, and they were doing all kinds of stuff to get people to come in. And then a few years after that, the employers were like, look, times are tough. We're barely able to keep the doors open. So those
Yeah.
benefits that we gave 2 to 3 years ago, where we needed people to come in, we couldn't find people to come in. Now we've got a glut of people that want to come in, and we don't have enough jobs for them,
Mm.
right? So, it's I think it's one thing to say, oh, these employers, they are trying to hire you at the lowest cost possible, and your job as an employee is to get the most money you can. That's why we called it a negotiation, and that's fine. But I think we also have to remember that things change. They're not all the same. So back in the days when some of our parents, not all of them, but some of them worked for companies that were large enough to where they could provide a pension, that wasn't everybody. Just some people had that, right? We kind of forget that folks that worked for small companies didn't have a pension. They didn't have a retirement plan. They had the opportunity to work.
Yeah, right, exactly, and not looking for the forward, but and then yes, and it's kind of gone through different time frames, right? Some when the economy is busting at the seams and everybody's happy, we do have some of those moments. It's kind of like way back in the recesses of our mind, but and when and I've worked in HR, right? So, when we were like, oh yeah, we are all warm and fuzzy about the people that we're hiring. And then that shifted probably after that more when the industry, the mortgage industry, banking industry kind of crashed, then things got a little different. And then the digital, the tech industry wasn't necessarily warm and fuzzy. Right? It was all about money. And I think that was kind of the shift at that point. That's what I remember. Because I was in finance and I was in HR and at that time, and I saw that shift happen. And then after that, jobs became very specific, very, very skilled in a certain area. And we're there now, but in another way, right? So one, we were more on a highly educated employee level because it was tech. Now it's all about trying to reframe or the workforce type of industry, which then at that point you got to be able to bring them there with more than just their $2 hour salary.
Yeah, I agree fully. Times
Mm-hmm.
do change and they're going to change again. So as a person who's an employee, if you decide not to take the risk, if you decide to be an employee, if that's your thing, then most definitely you got to look for the best deal for you. But I would encourage everyone to uh, learn about the benefits that they have. If you have a retirement plan, you are paying a retirement plan advisor to talk to you about that plan, to talk to you about what your needs are and how they're supposed to work for you. You are paying that person to do that. So take advantage of that. Don't stick your head in the sand. And I'm a prime example. For the longest time when I was an employee, I was a younger person. I didn't have a health insurance issue. I was relatively healthy. So I never
Mm-hmm.
looked. I just checked the box and I never went to the doctor. And um, knock on some wood, I was able to survive, right? I was
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm a little bit older, I own my own firm. Now I'm paying health insurance. Oh my goodness. Oh,
And it's funny that you said that. Except one of my colleagues, I just wished her a happy birthday. But prior to yesterday, on this birthday, she's turning 65. And so she was super excited. And I told her, I said, the best part about 65? And she said, what? I said,
Medicare.
being eligible for Medicare health
Yeah,
insurance, because it is a game changer, girl.
yeah, oh yeah. Those of us who have not gotten there yet, that's not grammatically correct. Those of us who haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, that's
I will
that.
tell you, it's the best part about turning 65. In fact, it's the only part about turning 65 that you embrace.
Indeed, 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 indeed. We can get into that discussion over a beer as to
Okay.
how long that's going to last. But for now, I think we're going to come to the end of our program for the day, and I just want to remind folks that when it comes to setting up a retirement plan in your firm, remember that participation is not progress. So if you have really great numbers with regard to participation, that's not the whole picture. And if you happen to be an employee and you're in a plan and you do have uh, the uh, the opportunity to invest in a retirement plan, because it is an opportunity, not everybody has it, but if you have one,
Mm-hmm.
and if your employer is gracious enough or in the position enough to be able to provide a match, then take advantage of it, and also get yourself educated about it. you're paying to be educated, you might as well get yourself educated. And the last thing I would say is if you're an employer and you want to judge how effective your retirement plan is, then connect with that retirement plan advisor, connect with that record keeper, and ask how many of your participants are on the way to reach their retirement goal. You can set the marker at being able to live on 70 to 80% of their current income. That's kind of the gold standard, sort of, right?
Mm-hmm.
If your retirement plan will produce 80% of your retirement plan income, not equal, but produce on an annual
Mm-hmm.
basis, then you are pretty close to where you need to be for retirement. That's a solid retirement plan. Couple that with participation numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You really got a nice case you can put in front of people if you need to hire them or if you can judge yourself with regard to how effective your retirement plan is.
Right, exactly. No, I totally agree. And that's why you're the retirement plan guru.
Advisor, guru, yeah,
Advisor. Guru.
yeah, something like that. Something like that. Well, it has been great chatting with you as always. We've come to the end of our program. Next week, we're going to have another edgy subject on 401k plans. So I really like uh, analyzing these things and making sure people understand how they work. So I think we should bid everyone adieu. Thank you for
Bye-bye,
joining me.
everyone.
Y'all be good now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he kicked us all out.